Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This, as you can see from the title, is my top 10 least favorite or worst smelling fragrances. Now, I want to give you a warning before you continue on with this video in any manner or form. This is my list. This is my personal fragrances that I absolutely cannot stand. Each of the fragrances that are on this list are what I consider scrubbers. I scrub them off, or I've had to scrub them off and get rid of them just because I really couldn't stand the smell. It was too bad for me, it made me nauseous, whatever the case is, I couldn't take them. These fragrances classify, right in that direction for me. I should warn you before you continue on as well, that there are a lot of fragrances here that a lot of people love. I've seen some on some people's top 10 lists. I've seen rave reviews for a lot of these fragrances, but again, fragrances are all about a personal preference for it, personal or subjectivity to it, and so again, these are the fragrances that I absolutely hate, and I've had a lot of time to kind of sit down and think on it. Now, there are some fragrances that I actually have, and you're going to see the bottles for them. The reason why I have them is, well, I do a lot of blind buying as well too. I find a great number of gems and I find a great number of stinkers, but that will explain why I have a lot of them too. And a lot of them I kind of just look out for really good deals. But you'll see as we kind of come across that. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started into this list. Sorry, one more thing. You're probably going to hear cursing in this video just because I'm going to tell you what my initial reaction was. And a lot of times when I smell something, especially when I'm out, I'm very vocal about it, so I'll curse. So you've been warned. You're probably going to you will hear cursing in this video. Do not be alarmed. I apologize for anyone who really gets offended for cursing. Feel free to click off the video or anything, but yes, all right. So let's go ahead and get started into this video. Coming in at number 10. This fragrance, I know a lot of people like, and I've seen a lot of people mention it, and it's at number 10 because this one is the only one that I could kind of consider borderline for it, but I do know that I dislike it enough that it is a scrubber, and that is HM by Hane More. Now, the notes of it consist of a lot of stuff that I like: lemon, chocolate. I would think that I would absolutely love it, and the top of the fragrance is actually not bad. But once it starts to sit on my skin, it turns into this really sour, lemony, like nastiness that's combined with chocolate. It's just really sweet, cloying, and just absolutely disgusting. I can't take it, basically. I got this, purchased this off a deal in package, and so I kind of went for it. And initially when I sprayed it, I thought it was pretty good. It stayed on my skin for a while, couldn't take it, had to scrub it off. HM by Hane More. My number 10. At number 9, another one that I know some people like. We have from the house of Lancôme, Hypnos. Yes, Hypnos. The reason why I hate this fragrance is definitely because of the fig. It's actually, this fragrance was what made me realize that it was fig in fragrances that I did not like. Like I went through and smelled Philosophicos and wasn't too impressed by it. I wasn't too impressed by some other, Marc Jacobs was another one that I wasn't impressed by, and I realized once I came across Hypnos that it was the fig that I really couldn't stand. So fig is a note in fragrances that I'm not a fan of. And this one, what made me realize was I had it on, I was wearing it for a bit, and finally I just started getting nauseous again. And I was like, well, I don't think it's the fragrance, but as I kept smelling it, I realized it is the fragrance. The fragrance is what's making me nauseous. Every time that I was actually testing it out a lot at the time, and every time that I had it out, I'd gotten up to like 5 days, I just started getting nauseous, and finally just realized, yo, it's the fragrance that's making me nauseous. And for that, it's a scrubber. I can't stand it. It's number 9 on my list. Lancôme Hypnos. Number 8, we've got a fragrance that I've reviewed. I kind of said my dislike for the fragrance, but it's gotten worse over time. That is Diesel's Fuel for Life. Diesel's Fuel for Life. I bought this fragrance when I was very first getting into fragrances and collecting fragrances. I smelled it and smelled very unique to me. It had like a sweetness to it, like a roughness, a type of an edge. It reminded me of almost like a fuel type thing. It didn't smell like petroleum or gasoline, but it had that reminder for me. When I took it home, I finally got to, fully put on and apply it, and I realized, wow, this really isn't for me. It's too damn sweet. It's really cloying. The raspberry started to get really annoying, and once it mixed with my skin, it just went haywire, basically. And at first I thought, it was my skin, but it was confirmed when I was at the Associated Press working there. I had this guy, or had this friend basically, who worked there as well, and he came in one day and he was smelling of this. And I remember we're going up in the elevator together, and I go, "Yeah, you're wearing diesel fuel for life, aren't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, man, how do you know?" And I was like, it's just a thought. I didn't tell him that it was because I absolutely hated the fragrance, but that's how I knew. That's how I knew I couldn't stand it, all right? Diesel fuel for life, number 8. Number 7, we've got a house that is a little bit of an indie house, and I hate kind of doing this just because I haven't reviewed any other one of their fragrances, and they do have good fragrances, and that is Lush's Guerrilla Perfumes Breath of God. Man, I've spent extensive time with this, and I've not been able to wear this for too long. I think I've been able to withstand a full wearing maybe twice, and that was sheerly for the sake of the review. This is a scrubber in me. It's just, it makes me sick to my stomach, basically, is the best way that I can actually describe it. Yeah, that's the best way. There's no specific thing. It's just way too airy, if that makes any sense. It's way too airy. It has too bitter, sharp of a tinge to it. That's the best thing. Breath of God, all right? Coming in at number 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6. This is a fragrance that I don't have, so I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of it right now. And yes, that is the fragrance, L'Odyssée Sport. This is the one that, to be perfectly honest, I don't have. And I went to the store, or I went to Macy's actually, saw it and was like, whoa, L'Odyssée Sport. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and try this one out, because L'Odyssée is one of my favorite fragrances by Issey Miyake. It's one of my favorite fragrances ever made. I still regard it very highly. If I ever run out of it, I'm going to buy it again. I think it's, an awesome fragrance. So L'Odyssée Sport must be just as awesome. I was wrong. L'Odyssée Sport, I can't even get past the opening for this one. It's not fresh. It's just like sickeningly rubbery-ish, like a citrus gone bad, basically. That's the best way I can actually describe it. I really can't take whatever that note is that's in the beginning, and it's so put me off that I didn't even bother to go ahead and look up what the notes were for the fragrance to see what the difference is, even though I should. But yeah, L'Odyssée Sport was my next one. Coming in at number 5, a fragrance that I do have that I picked up on accident is Animal for Men. It gets really cheap, really cloying, basically. I purchased this on accident, like I said. I thought I was purchasing Animal, which is what everyone in the community was raving about at the time. Said that it was like a cheap, pure malt substitute. This was a time when pure malt was kind of rare to get. So I went ahead, got this on accident, thinking it was the same thing, and it just comes off like this cheap, Hollywoody type fragrance that, really just doesn't do it for me, and gotta scrub it off after a bit. Animal. The next fragrance is for number 4 for my stinker list. We've got a fragrance that I thought I would love. I actually saw the notes for it and figured, yeah, I'll blind buy that one. All of the notes in this fragrance I absolutely love, but can't stand it. Diesel Zero Plus Masculine. I thought I would love this fragrance based off of the notes, but no. Quite the opposite. It's horrendously bad smelling. I don't know what the heck they did with it, or how the heck that they blended it. Maybe it's the nutmeg. I don't know what the heck is doing it. But all of those notes in there I absolutely love, and it comes off just disgusting. This one almost made me hurl, basically. I remember smelling it, taking it in, and just lurching automatically. And, you know, I had a girlfriend in my place at the time, and she was like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And I was like, I can't believe a fragrance just almost fucking made me throw up. I'm not sure what else to say. Diesel 0 Plus Masculine. Number 3 is a fragrance that, until I smelled this one, I had thought that all citruses were safe. Bond Number 9's Little Italy. I thought, no matter what, you know, you can't do a citrus bad. You can't do a citrus wrong. Again, wrong, wrong, wrong. You can do a citrus bad, you can do a citrus wrong, and this is it. It has this musky undertone. When you mix the muskiness with the citrus, I've come to realize that it doesn't do right for me. When I first pulled this out, I remember I bought this off of someone. Somebody was selling it for like $60, which is an awesome deal. So I said, you know what? For 60 bucks, I'll take a dive on it. This fragrance normally retails, I think for this size, it was like $150, $190 or something like that. So it was a substantial price cut, like almost 25% of what it normally is. And I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to go ahead and take a stab at it. When I purchased it, got it in the mail, and I'll never forget it. It was the summertime. It was very hot. And when I cracked it open, I kind of caught a whiff of it. I was like, oh, something's wrong. Popped open the bottle, or popped open the cap, took a smell of it, and was like, whoa, I think it went bad during shipping, right? So I'm like, before I go off accusing anyone, though, I got one of those little bonbon samples, a sample of Little Italy, smelled it, smelled the exact same, and I realized that's what the scent is. It's not anything wrong with the bottle, it's just this. And it comes off really raw, really anti-musky, it doesn't really come off as fresh to me. There are people who love this smell, but for me, just not for me at all. Bond Number 9 is Little Italy. Number 2 on my list, I do not have in my collection. Here it is. Yes, from the house of Dior, it is Leather Oud. I heard about this one on forums all over the place. Some people who swore by it and loved it. Some people who absolutely hated it. And one, I think it was it this past summer? Maybe it was this past summer. No, not this past summer. It was probably in the spring. But either way, I was thinking to myself that I hadn't really gotten my nose on any of the Dior exclusives, so I would go ahead and I would head down to the Dior boutique that's around 5th Avenue here in New York. So I go there during my lunchtime, smell a lot of the exclusives, go through, absolutely, you know, thought some of them were okay, liked a lot of them, ended up buying one of them, which was, man, I can't remember that fragrance's name right now. Not Udishvan, I bought that one at another time. Oh, whatever. But anyways, I bought one of the exclusives, and I remember I was like, well, wait a second, I haven't actually smelled Leather Oud yet. Do you have Leather Oud? And she goes, grabs it, you know, sprays it on, but because I didn't have time, so just go ahead and spray it on, and I'll go ahead and, you know, walk home with it. She sprayed it on, took a sniff, I was like, yeah, not bad, not bad. I guess the people who said that it smelled good were, you know, right. So I start walking back, and I'm walking through the city. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking to myself, man, something smells like shit, basically. You know, and this was normally, if you've never been to New York can be a very smelly place. You can smell trash everywhere. You know, some people don't pick up after their dogs at times. You can smell shit everywhere. You can smell horse shit because, you know, when you're around the Central Park area, whatever. I was passing back in that area going back to work. But I said to myself, man, something smells like shit. And I kept walking thinking that, you know, just like New York, I would just pass it and whatever, the smell would go away. But the smell kept sticking to myself. And so I stopped and I'm thinking, did I accidentally step in shit? I go down, you know, check the bottom of my shoes. No, nothing. Nothing's on the bottom of my shoes. And then I kind of, as I'm going like this, I catch a whiff of my arm. And I realize, holy shit, it's my arm. It's the Leather Oud that's on me that smells like shit, literally. Now I'm worried. I'm going back to work and I think I smell like shit, basically. So as soon as I get in, go to the bathroom, and I just start scrubbing it off as much as I possibly can. That's Leather Oud. that is my story for leather oud. I absolutely hate it. Can't stand it to this day. I will never, ever, ever recommend it to anyone. But still, there are some people who swear by it. They love the animalistic smell, whatever. All right? And for number 1, this is a fragrance that I do not consider a fragrance. Here it is. Yes, if you have not heard of Secretions Magnifique, do yourself a favor. Do not smell it. I think I've met one person who likes this fragrance. It's supposedly a mixture of semen, like bodily excrement, semen, cum, whatever, basically. Blood. It's supposed to be the mixture for that, and it has this blood-like texture to it, but it just smells real bad. Again, I don't even it smells so bad that I don't even consider it really an attempt at a fragrance, but I think it's more an attempt at them trying to be shocking, basically, rather than be an actual fragrance. So that is my number 1 hated fragrance. At Mid New York, sometimes I like to pull pranks on people, and especially somebody who's new, and be like, hey, have you smelled this fragrance? Like, no, I haven't smelled it. What is that? Aw, and then always never fails. It just always psychs them out, tricks them out. But that's my little evil thing that I like to do. But either way, those are my top 10 hated fragrances. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your hated fragrances are. I know a lot of people think Musc Ravageur is one of their hated fragrances. Me, that's one of my favorite fragrances, but again, all subjective. There's nothing wrong with hating a fragrance. There's nothing wrong with loving fragrances that people hate. All right? So yeah, let me know what you know, and let me know what your least favorite fragrances are as well. All right? Thank you. Take care of yourselves, and have a great day.